Hello, my friends. This is Leo Babauta of Zen Habits, and today I'm going to talk about something that is incredibly important to me this year, and it's a theme of my own personal practice and the projects that I'm doing. From my Zen sewing project that I'm finally going to finish this year and take my Zen vows to a book that I'm going to write and ways that I'm coaching people online and in person, leading retreats. I'm going to be using an approach that I call egoless action. Now, this is not an official term from Zen or Stoicism or anywhere really. It is not something I made up necessarily, but something that I'm defining for myself, for my own personal practice. So in this way, it is an original term, even though people have used it in other ways. I'm using it in a specific way, and egoless action, I think, really cuts through a lot of our resistance if we can actually apply it, if we can practice it and live in this way, especially around our meaningful work and things that really matter to us. We can bring the idea of egoless action and cut through resistance, fear, avoidance, all of those fun things. And so I'd like to talk about what is egoless action? How do we actually do it? How does it cut through all of the resistance and fear and avoidance? And then how do we practice it? So let's dig into it. So, egoless action is a term that I use for taking action without being too concerned with ourselves and how we look. How our how our image will be affected. And so most of us, most of the time, are actually coming from a place, we take action from a place that is worried about our self image. And we don't realize we're doing that. So it's not like we're doing it on purpose. And it's also not wrong. Like there's something bad about me and it's like, kind of like selfish or egocentric. Actually, egocentric is what we all are as human beings. We live our lives in a greatly egocentric way. And it's not, I'm not using that term as a negative thing, as an insult. Like, you're so egocentric. That's often how we use the word, is like, oh, this person is so egocentric. It's like they're kind of full of themselves. They only care about themselves. They're selfish. But that isn't how I'm using the word. What I mean is that we are centered on how we look, our image of ourselves. And we don't realize we are, but that is just naturally how we operate. And so I'm going to give you an example of that. Okay, so for example, let's say I want to like go to the gym and work out. Okay, good for you, right? It's healthy. But when I go there, I'm like, what are people going to think about me? Like, maybe I'm feeling kind of like overweight and I'm worried about how they'll see me. Maybe I'm a newbie at the gym and I don't really know how to use all the equipment. And so then I'm like, am I going to embarrass myself? Maybe I don't have the coolest workout clothes, and so maybe I'm worried about what people are going to think about that. And so that's a really obvious example of how I want to take an action that's good for me, right? Like it's healthy to work out, but I'm really worried about my self image. Now, I might not even realize that I have this worry. I might just feel like, oh, I'm not sure if I really want to go to the gym right now. Maybe, just hanging out and being on my computer or my phone. Maybe that's kind of like what I feel like doing today. I don't really feel like going to the gym. Even though I signed up for it in the beginning of January, I paid some money and I'm like committed to it, but now just for some reason it doesn't feel like the right time. And so I don't even realize that actually my real resistance isn't about the timing or even how I feel. It's that I have resistance to actually, you know, going out there where my image of myself might be shaken a bit. It's like, oh, people think I'm a beginner and I'm embarrassing myself and I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't look cool for some reason. And so that's not how I want to see myself. That's not how I want to feel about myself. And so I'm worried about that. There's fear about it. Now, this is an obvious example, but actually, this is the this is actually dominating our lives. This concern. I'm going to give you a few other examples that are really common so you can see, like, actually there's a lot of places where this shows up. So another one would be, let's say someone criticizes me, right? At work, maybe it's my spouse, whoever. Someone criticizes me in some way. Now that can be, really hurtful. It can make you really angry. It can make you defensive. Like, no, you're wrong about this. Here's why I'm not this. I'm not a liar. Here's why I'm not lazy. Here's why I'm not stupid. And I'm going to tell you, give you all the reasons so that you know that's wrong, that what you're saying about me is wrong. This becomes a really like intense thing for a lot of us, is we have to defend ourselves and show them why they're wrong, or be really angry at them for like having the nerve to like criticize me. And the reason why it becomes so important is because that they are attacking the image of me. This often applies if someone, somehow says something that might make you feel like they're criticizing your parenting. If you're a parent, like, ooh, I'm a bad parent? What? Like, let me show you why you're completely wrong. And it can make you very angry if you're criticized as a parent, because being a good parent is something that is so central to that self-image that you're trying to uphold. And the truth is, all of us have a self-image we are trying to uphold, and so we are protecting it in a lot of ways. A couple other examples. Maybe I have something I want to create, but I don't want to put it out into the world because I'm worried about, if I put it out there, I don't actually know what these faceless strangers are going to think about me. So how do I then protect my self-image? Maybe if it's one person in front of me, I can talk them into understanding why I had to do it this way, and why it's like this, and why it's a little bit messy, and all these different things about this thing that I've created, so that they can know why I'm not terrible. But actually, I can't know that. I can't protect that self-image when I put my work out into the world. And so, given that I can't, we don't know what countless faceless strangers will think of us. Given that fact, it is safer not to put anything out there in the world. And that's actually how most people operate. I don't want to put things out there in the world. Now, they don't consciously think that, they just don't do it. And so our lives actually become invisibly shaped by us not wanting to do things that might risk us looking stupid or embarrassing ourselves, or somehow damaging the self-image that we are trying to uphold. This is everywhere. It is how we live our lives. So that's kind of ego-based action. And again, that is normal. So I'm not saying that is bad, it's negative, or in any kind of way, but what you can see is that ego-based action, it's very protective. It's very much centered around, I need to make sure that this image doesn't look bad. It looks like the way that I want people to think I'm a good person, I'm a good parent, I'm a good worker, I'm productive, I'm creative, I'm brilliant, I'm smart, I'm, whatever. Strong, brave, fit. So, and of course, if that isn't the image that we actually can create, it becomes a very negative thing in our lives. We're like, we have this negative self-image, like everyone sees me as this loser, or this lazy, overweight, whatever it is that I'm stupid, whatever it is that I'm afraid they see me as. If I can't actually, do anything to make everyone think that I'm something good, then it actually becomes like discouraging, depressing. Um, we can actually get really angry at ourselves for not working harder, for not whatever, for not doing things in a disciplined way like we want to, so that we can show people how good of a person we are. So all of this can become like actually really like difficult for us. Okay, so that's ego-based action. So then let's talk about egoless action. Egoless action comes from a completely different view of the world and ourselves. And the simple truth, I'm going to put this under quotes because there isn't a real truth, right or wrong kind of thing here. But the simple truth that it operates on, an operating principle, if you will, is there is no image to protect. There is no image to protect. So if I, if I don't, what if this image that I'm trying to protect is just like a mirage or like a hologram? And I'm like really like working my whole life to like make this hologram look good and protect it from people like disparaging it, and like this becomes a huge central concern. Now what if we could just see through the hologram, and in fact there's the hologram just disappeared? What would happen if you didn't have a hologram, an image to protect? Well, all of a sudden you are freed of a lot of time. A lot of our lives are spent trying to protect that image or create that image, defend it, whatever it was we need to do. We spend a lot of time on it, and then we also spend a ton of energy on it. And it becomes this huge emotional thing. If someone criticizes the image, I need to really like dig my heels in and defend it or attack them or get angry. Now, what if instead someone criticizes the image and you're like, they're criticizing a non-existent thing, right? Like I don't need to like worry about that. It's like I feel bad for this person that they like you might get so upset about something that doesn't exist. Or maybe I can be like, oh, I wonder what's going on that made this person make that criticism. Maybe they're hurting inside. Maybe I did something inadvertently to hurt them or scare them. Who knows? Or maybe they have some information in this feedback that I can actually use to take in and make my product or my creation or my work or whatever better. So the feedback is actually good. And there isn't anything that I need to like, there's no image for me to protect, and therefore I can just take the feedback and use it. So a lot of stuff becomes way easier when I don't have this image to protect. If someone criticizes me, they're not really criticizing my image. They're giving me some information, and that information might simply be that somehow I stepped on their heart inadvertently, and I need to just try and understand, like, is there something going on? If they're criticizing me in a way that's like really like attacking or upset, but maybe they're just like, hey, I didn't really love this report that you gave. Here are some of my criticisms of it. I can be like, oh, it has nothing to do with me. It's about the information here on this document. And we can work together to try and make it, something that actually works. So I don't need to protect my image. I just focus on the work at hand. These are examples of like how things become a lot easier in relationships. Again, same thing. If someone says something that might normally be hurtful to you, you don't have to invest so much energy into it. If you've been resisting public speaking or putting your writing out there or posting about something that you're really interested in, you no longer need to like worry about the image, and now you can just put it out there. It's like has nothing to, there's no image to protect, there's no image to build, and so therefore you can just put stuff out there. You can do public speaking. Like, I embarrass myself. There's no embarrassment because there's nothing to protect. I can just be clumsy and get better with practice because that's how practice works. And eventually I'll become a really good public speaker, but I can like let myself make a mess in the beginning, just like you would anything that you're learning to do. You're not going to be like the world's greatest, portrait painter. If, you first started out, you're going to create some really crappy portraits to start with. Okay, so that fundamental truth, there is no image to protect. There is no image to build. It's just an illusion. It's not a thing. So if we are freed of that, then what can we do instead? Well, maybe I want to build something because I think it would be of benefit to the world. That isn't to build up my own image, it's because I think people would actually enjoy this. Like, I want to build a freaking playground so people can have fun. Not because it's going to give me the image that I want, but because I actually think this would be cool to create and it would be cool for this thing to exist. And it would be cool to see people playing on it and having fun. Like, I actually think that would be really cool, right? That's an egoless motivation. We're doing it because we think it would be cool to have in the world, because it would be fun to see people's faces light up. Um, Egoless action can benefit you. I think it would be cool. I would be lit up to see people playing on that. Egoless action does not mean there is no benefit to you. It means that you're not focused on the self image. It means you do it because it lights your heart up, because it makes you sing, because it brings you joy and wonder, and life is fun that way. You feel alive doing it this way. So that's not an image, it's just like that's what you want. You want to live a life full of joy and wonder, or curiosity, or discovery, learning and making a mess of things. So you can benefit from egoless action. It isn't that there is no, you're not, important. You can take care of your health in egoless action because you like to take care of this gift of a body that you've been given, for example, or you want to live into old age in a healthy way so that you can play with your kids and grandkids, or hike, you know, um, Mount Kilimanjaro or the Andes someday, even into your 70s. So take care of your health because it'll be fun, but not because you need to have six pack abs and like an image of yourself as a fit person. So, egoless action can be about you, it can be about taking care of yourself, but it doesn't have to be. My phone's ringing, I forgot to silence this thing. It doesn't have to be um, about only about others, but it's not about your image. Okay, so what does this do then if we can actually work in this way, and how do we actually do it? So let's say it's morning and I'm like, okay, what would I like to do with this gift of a day? Well, I can ask my heart, what do I want to do? What would be really meaningful to me? What would bring me joy? Well, I've been working on this project that's has a lot of meaning to me. I'm going to move that forward. Plus, there's some people who are important to me and I would like to respond to them. What you notice here is there's no fear or anxiety about letting people down, or I need to do this so that I don't look like an idiot, or I need to avoid doing this so I don't look like an idiot and embarrass myself. There isn't any of that. It's simply I do this because that's what my heart wants, or because I care about these people, because I care about this project and what it's going to create, and so that's what I choose. And I choose that, and I say, okay, first thing I want to do is actually take the next hour, 90 minutes, 2 hours to work on this meaningful project. Let me open it up. Let me start working on it. And I start working on it from a place of I'm doing it because I care about the impact of this project, the meaning behind it, the people it's going to serve, including myself, but not because I need to do it because I said I would, and I need to do it because I should, or I need to do it so that I don't look like an idiot, or I need to avoid it so I don't look like an idiot. Either way, maybe I'm worried about both. That's ego-based action is I need to do it, otherwise I'll look like an idiot, and also at the same time I want to avoid it because I'm worried about looking like an idiot. There's a lot of tension there. So without all of that tension, I can just be like, yeah, I care about this project. I'm going to actually work on it. And as I do it, I can actually enjoy the process, enjoy the task itself, enjoy working on it, because the working on it itself can have joy and fun and learning and curiosity and discovery and all of these play and all of these things. It isn't that I'm forcing myself to do it out of worried about my self-image. When I'm forcing myself to do every single thing, the whole world becomes drudgery and forcing and coercion. So instead of that, I get to do things because this is something that I want to do. And then I start doing it from that place. I'm going to give you another aspect of egoless action um, that I've been practicing. And this is all practice for me. I'm not perfect at it. I'm not a master of it yet, but it is a theme of mine for this year. So another aspect of egoless action, I've talked before, I think, about my Zen sewing project, which is this little like rectangular thing that I'm sewing. It's called a rakasu, and it has a strap, or it will have a strap that I can hang this rectangular patchwork kind of thing around my neck. So it's called a rakasu. It's a Japanese word. And I sew it, and the way that I sew it, it's thousands of stitches. I sew it one stitch at a time. And that's the only way I know how to sew. Um, so when I sew, I might have a fear like, oh, I'm gonna do this badly, and I'm gonna feel like a bumbling idiot, incompetent, and so like that fear, which is ego based, comes up, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I feel that, and I can attend to the fear with some breath, some mindfulness, and then I can say, you know what? That's a future kind of Leo thing to worry about is, do I look like an idiot? Current Leo, present Leo, only needs to make one stitch. And who knows if it's going to be good or bad? That's future kind of thinking. What if I could just sew that one stitch, and then the next, and then the next, and then the next, and one at a time, I'm kind of discovering what this rakasu is going to be, but I can't predict that I'm going to look like an idiot. Now maybe as I do it, I'm like, oh, that was a little crooked, that was a little bit bumbling, and I can feel some embarrassment, but that's okay. Like that's a part of that stitch, was to have some embarrassment in it. And each stitch is going to have different sensations associated with it. But the point is that instead of focusing so much on my image, I just focus on doing that stitch one at a time. Now you can of course apply that to anything. I'm writing a book, let's just write a sentence, one stitch at a time. If I'm building a house, one brick at a time, or whatever it is, one nail at a time. And so that's what we can do, is just focus. Egoless action is like, I don't know if this is going to turn out badly, if I'm going to fail or whatever. I'm just going to do one stitch at a time and see how it goes. And take that step, take that next step, take that next step. And that's how we navigate uncertainty. That's how we navigate anything, as opposed to like trying to predict, is this going to turn out good or bad? Let me try and get it perfect. That's ego-based. Egoless is, let's drop all of that and just do the stitch. So how do we practice this? So first of all, we notice when we are caught up in ego-based action without judgment. We just notice that that's the case. And then we can say, what's the fear here? Oh, I'm afraid I'm going to embarrass myself. Okay, great. Or I'm afraid this person thinks badly of me when they criticized me. Okay, great. Let me attend to that fear. And we just feel the fear in the body, and we breathe deeply. And then we can practice from there by simply taking the next step. What's the next stitch I can sew? We can also remember that the image itself that I'm trying to protect doesn't exist, and find some other reason to do something. So for example, let's say I want to answer an email. Well, if I didn't have to worry about my image, would I answer that email? Yeah, because I care about this person and I want them to know that I care about them and attend to their question. Okay, great. Let me answer that email then, because I care about this person, and I'm answering this as an act of love or care. And so that's a different place to act from. I'm doing it because I care, as opposed to because I need to not look like an idiot, right? And so that would be how we would practice. Now, this is a very deep topic, and there's a lot more to practice than I can share in this video, but I wanted just to share this idea so that you could play with it and see what you can find. Egoless action, there isn't a right way to do it. I don't think there's one way to do egoless action, and I don't even think it's the right way to do things. It's a way. Ego based is not wrong. We can do ego based stuff. Worried of looking like an idiot. Such a human thing. I'm worried about this person thinks that I'm not a good parent and I'm upset. Yeah, of course. You care about being a good parent. You care about your family. So you're trying your best. And it can hurt when someone thinks badly of you, when someone doesn't appreciate you, when someone, misjudges you or is unfairly criticizing. So yeah, it can hurt. That's okay. Ego based is a part of being human. We're all human. And so that can be a part of it, but egoless can be as well. And that's something I just wanted to bring out as it's a different mode of living in the world. And it's not better or worse, but it can actually be a lot easier if we can practice it, if we can actually put it into practice. Okay, that's what I've got for you. If you'd like, subscribe to this channel, give a like, comment. These things help the algorithm, and I'm asking you to do this not so much so that I get more subscribers, but because I think that this will benefit others if they can find it in the YouTube algorithm. So I'd love the help because this will benefit others. And if you know of anyone else who could benefit from this kind of thing or who would just enjoy this discussion of egoless action, um, forward this on to them. I think there are others who haven't watched this video but who could use some Zen habits in their lives, and I'd love for you to share it. Thanks, my friends. I'll talk to you later.